Shalom and welcome to Jerusalem Studio. Recently, the President and Foreign Minister of Lebanon attended a summit in Doha, Qatar, as members of good standing of the Arab Leaders and Diplomats Club. This is reflective of Beirut's new status in the Middle East, however fragile it still may be. Over the past year, since Hezbollah's resounding defeat by Israel, conditions in Lebanon have improved quite notably when compared to the sorry state of affairs characteristics of the last few decades. Thanks to the demise of both of the Shiite movement's leader, Hassan Nasrallah, and the Assad regime in Syria, Iran's ability to resupply and rehabilitate its proxy in Lebanon has been severely hampered, not to mention Iran itself being now much weaker following the June war. Meanwhile, in Beirut, a new political team president, Aoun, and Prime Minister Nawaf Sallam seems intent on implementing the army's plan to force Hezbollah to disarm, despite threats of resistance to the point of renewing both of the country's civil war and war with Israel. These are therefore critical times, with both the government's determination and the promised American and French support being put to the test. Joining us to dissect those complexities at length, all the way from Washington, D.C., is retired Colonel Dr. Abbas Dahouk, who formerly served as a senior militia advisor on Middle Eastern affairs at the U.S. State Department and Defense and Army attaché to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Currently, he's a member of the Board of Directors of the National Council on U.S.-Arab Relations of Washington, D.C. It's great to see you, Colonel.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Also joining us from elsewhere in Israel is retired Colonel Dr. Eran Lerman, who formerly served as Israel's Deputy National Security Advisor. Currently, he's the Vice President of the Jerusalem Institute for Strategy and Security, as well as a lecturer at Sallam College. It's great to see you as well, Colonel.
Good to be here.
The pleasure is all ours. Last but not least, our TV7 editor-at-large, Mr. Amir Oren. Amir, the complexities of Lebanon have long been discussed on these panels, and while we want to be optimistic about a brighter horizon, many questions linger.
You know, time does fly. It's exactly a year since the demise of Hassan Nasrallah and his associates, his brothers in crime. And this year has brought about quite a change. We have seen in recent days that the administration in Beirut is acting in a very Lebanese fashion. In principle, it is starting the task of disarming all groups who are violating the Taif Agreement of 1989, where there should be only one military force, one gun, and so on. But the government, the Aoun Sallam government, starts with the easiest part. They are not tackling Hezbollah head-on. First of all, southern Lebanon, mostly south of the Litani. Then Palestinians in Hilweh, Saida, the Palestinian refugee camp. And within the Palestinian community there, Fatah and some other groups close to it, not Hamas. So they will only later try to tackle the most problematic issues, the thorniest problems.
Well, of course, there is Hamas. There are other factions that are operational, both in the north, in Tripoli, where Turkish influence is very robust, as well as Qatari influence these days. We can go all the way to Beirut, where there are neighborhoods under Saudi Arabia and other countries that are also very much involved in the complexities of this small country. But nonetheless, when we're talking about those complexities, Colonel Dahouk, are we in a position to say we can be optimistic for a brighter future? Considering the president, Joseph Aoun, being a general himself during the previous round of being a chief of staff, of course, is there a force shift, so to speak, that allows him to maneuver without bringing about a renewed civil war in this country?
Well, that's an interesting question, and but we do have to be optimistic. Not only United States, Europe, Israel, also the Lebanese people. I mean, they're in a tough neighborhood, and they don't have a political leverage to bring to the table. They don't have any military leverage as well. There is the Lebanese army, and as you mentioned, you have a new political team, and the former Lebanese army commander is the president. But that's good, and that's also bad. In a case, he was part of the institution for a long time. He witnessed Hezbollah's rise, and the relationship with Iran improved under his tenureship. I mean, the Hezbollah became the most powerful non-state actor in the world. And he was witnessing perhaps all this smuggling of arms through the airport, through the borders with Syria. I mean, was not able to do anything, and now he's the president. He is talking the talk, and now 1 year after the killing of Nasrallah, he has not able to rally this political organization together to protect Lebanon's sovereignty. I mean, it's disarming Hezbollah, the way I see it. It's a sovereignty issue in Lebanon, independent of the neighboring countries. Israel looks at it from a security issue to secure its northern borders. Now you have a new government in Syria. Syria looks at it also from a security perspective. Hezbollah being armed is also a threat to the current Syrian government. So there is a hope, but that they definitely have to do more. United States is supporting them politically and also providing some aids to the Lebanese army to do more. But we have to wait and see. At the end of the day, the disarmament is mainly a political decision, not necessarily a military one. They have to. I mean, the intelligence apparatus in Lebanon, I'm fairly certain that they know 90% of Hezbollah's capabilities, that the place where they have hidden their infrastructure and all the missiles and so on. So they know what it is. All they have to do, they need that political decision, which I don't see it happening yet.
Dr. Lehman, your take on this?
Well, I think we need strategic patience, but framed in the context of a very clear purpose. The purpose is for Hezbollah to lay down their arms, for an alternative defender of Lebanese sovereignty to be the Lebanese military and only the Lebanese military. And by the way, they may need some capabilities because developments in Syria may be quite unpredictable. But Hezbollah has brought nothing but grief to Lebanon and even to large parts of the Shia community. Certainly in the last conflict, but overall, over the years of dragging Lebanon into a confrontation which does not serve any Lebanese interest that can be discerned. So I think at the same time that pushing it too far, too quickly, could actually lead to an explosion. And therefore, yes, we need a degree of patience, but with a very clear set of goals. For the time being, until these goals are realized, at least south of the Litani River, Israel is going to have to sustain its presence to protect its own people and to project the willingness and the capability to, if necessary, use force again to make sure that Hezbollah is no longer able to do Iran's bidding against Israel from Lebanese soil. And therefore also the air raids against Hezbollah targets are likely to continue until we come to the point in which we can confidently say that The general plan put forward by General Rudolf Heicher is by now underway towards implementation, first in the south and then all over the country. So time will tell if all of this will come to pass. I agree. We have reason to be more optimistic than we've ever been in the last decades, 2 decades, about the future of Lebanon, since Hezbollah ran down the Lebanese military in 2008. But we also need to be patient and very firm in our expectations.
Mr. Aoun, looking at this from a broader perspective, countries are looking at Lebanon, seeing whether or not the Americans having so much political capital in the game, with Senator Lindsey Graham even coming out and stating that a possible defense pact is on the table. Those are radical developments that may indeed bring about a tectonic shift for a country that has been embroiled in so many hardships for such a long time. Nevertheless, the Iranians, on the other hand, are not looking at this any kinder, to say it mildly, and they have continued to back this proxy of theirs, Hezbollah namely, in rehabilitating them, having hardship doing so, but nonetheless they are vigorously pushing in that direction.
What does the term defense pact or mutual security mean in the American-Lebanese context? President Trump does not want to send troops to any crisis point in the Middle East. Conversely, he wants to pull out as many as he can from inherent resolve counter ISIS tasks. So what is meant by defense pact is probably money, munitions, but not men. And the Lebanese must have their own resolve in fighting or deterring Hezbollah. Now, what Dr. Lerman mentioned regarding the Israeli actions against Hezbollah, this is unprecedented. Each time a single Hezbollah operative, even if he is not armed, comes to a village in southern Lebanon, and you, Jonathan, you have been there quite recently, and you have observed the border. You know how close all of these Shiite villages are. Each time a single person whose task is to set up renewed Hezbollah infrastructure in a village is spotted, he is being attacked. Israel does not allow any incipient movement by Hezbollah, and everyone understands that this is the new policy in addition to the forward presence. Now, Iran cannot counter that. Iran may try to send some weapons, and they are being intercepted either on the Syrian border or at sea or elsewhere. And Hezbollah understands full well that if it starts anything, Israel will pounce on it. So they are quite dormant for now.
Absolutely. Colonel Dahouk, I'd like to hear your take on this. And to what degree is there resolve amongst the various factions, sects within Lebanese society that have been very divisive in the past, but nonetheless, it seems like this counter Hezbollah or counter Iran, the pushback being proactive, seems to be genuine at this point in time.
Yeah, it is very genuine. I mean, the average Lebanese citizen wants peace, wants economic prosperity, wants to survive and survive like any other peaceful country in the world. But the political bosses, political pressure, they're still the same. They still have this old mindset of resistance, counter Israel, and the idea of having Arabism and so on. We just need the leadership to take charge and put all this old baggage behind. But back to the idea with Senator Lindsey Graham, I think that's from my perspective, it's feasible. I mean, yes, U.S. will not put troops boots on the ground in Lebanon, but Lebanon is such a small country. It's right next to Israel, and I think, and we have this large diplomatic presence with the U.S. embassy in there. It doesn't require boots on the ground. It requires just that diplomatic presence, and also a diplomatic backing in the UN and so on. And I think it's a small country. It could be protected by agreement with the United States. It will ensure it has some good relationship with Syria, and somewhat ideally a peace treaty, with Israel. If you have those ingredients, peace with Israel, normalization on the borders between Lebanon and Syria, Lebanon, it becomes safe. It becomes I look at it as the Israel of the Arab world. There is no need for even army. I mean, regardless of how powerful as the Lebanese army will become, whether backed by the United States or Russia or China, they will not be able to fight Israel, not even Syria. So they don't need that large defense footprint. They only need that diplomatic backing by the United States, and then I think it will be a peaceful country in the region.
Coining the phrase "Israel of the Arab world," I appreciate that context. But Colonel Lehrman, I'd like to hear your take on this. Yesterday, we were together also very near Lebanon. We dived very deep into the details of everything that was happening there with a larger group of practitioners. From your perspective, is there a scenario in which Israel could relinquish those territories to the Lebanese armed forces at this moment in time, when there is still a very resounding question mark on whether it can or cannot actually deal with a Hezbollah whose own leader, Secretary General Naim Qassem, has mentioned that any type of friction will be met with force?
Well, quite frankly, I don't think it's in the interest of Israel to see things in Lebanon come to a direct confrontation. What we want to see is Hezbollah reeled, like a patient fisherman would, one roll at a time until they can no longer resist. I think they have a deep internal crisis. I pick up indications that there are some internal tensions between more radical and more, let's say, accommodating elements within Hezbollah. They fully understand that even among the Shia base, they are increasingly losing their legitimacy. And of course, their tools of influence, the money flow from Iran is likely to be disrupted even further, certainly if the snapback reduces the Iranian economy even further. So they are in a position of weakness. We should use it carefully and wisely. But it would be a mistake of the first order to relinquish our position and to desist from our operations against Hezbollah operatives in the south and elsewhere before we see the plan that has presumably been presented by the military to the cabinet and approved in Beirut being implemented over time. So we have, I believe I can say safely, that Israel has no territorial ambitions in Lebanon. It does not intend to keep these 5 points in perpetuity. It does intend to hold on to them until the situation is clearly changed, and we are aware that this may take time. And I want to add one more angle. The Shia community is, of course, going to remain perhaps the largest numerically and a very significant element of Lebanese society. They need reassurances coming not from Hezbollah, but from the Lebanese government on tourists and others in the region who have an interest, the same as we do and the American administration does, and the French and others, in seeing Hezbollah reduced to a political proposition, no longer an armed Iranian proxy. And that is, they need economic assurances and investment in their future that will not come through Iranian channels. And they need to be reassured that vengeful Sunnis from the other side of the border, on both sides of the borders, would not utilize the change of government in Syria in order to take revenge on the Shia community for all that Hezbollah has done to Syrian Sunnis throughout the years of the civil war. With these two assurances, I think we can look forward to a real change in the Lebanese dynamics.
A very important point indeed. Mr. Aoun, I'd like to give you a chance to respond to those 2 points. And then after that, each one of you will get the opportunity to provide some insight looking forward, since we're drawing near to the end of the program. Mr. Aoun, go ahead.
It seems that the Trump administration is developing a holistic approach to the Levant. Ambassador Tom Barak, the ambassador to Ankara, but operating out of the Istanbul Consulate General, is in effect the viceroy or high commissioner for Syria, but it seems also for Lebanon. And he was at Doha this week too. It's interesting to see whether the Turkish, Syrian, Israeli angle will also engulf the Lebanese one, because if it is possible to get a de facto arrangement, a modus vivendi for all 4 partners there, it will be quite a development.
That is an understatement, even though I will emphasize, since 1860, Lebanon is not part of Syria. And it must remain as such, because if anything changes in this context, it will become a chaos-driven country. And that is something that nobody really wants. But as I mentioned, we are drawing near to the end of the program. Each of you will receive roughly a minute and a half, less than 2 minutes, to provide your analysis of the days and months ahead. Colonel Dahouk, we'll start with you.
Well, I see Lebanon now as another crossroad. I mean, there've been this all through history where they have some important a decision to make with all stars lining up to their advantage, and they have failed to take advantage of it. And now they are at a similar point. You have a new government that does enjoy the support of not only the people of Lebanon, and also the support of a regional country and the Arab world. You have United States administration that's in full support of the government and is supporting the military. They wanted to at least regain their sovereignty and somehow absorb all this armed militias. And at the same time, you have Israel also showing a strategic patience with them, giving the Lebanese government the time and space to do the right thing. So at the end of the day, it boils down to the Lebanese government itself. Are they willing to take that step towards their sovereignty and their security and the economic prosperities? Or they want to just buy time to continue doing what they've been doing since the end of civil war in 1990.
Absolutely. Colonel Elman?
Well, in addition to the Lebanese themselves, of course, the regional players are extremely important. Those dire economic need in Lebanon, and here the Saudis and the Emiratis would be extremely important. And once the dust settles after the sequence of events flowing from the Israeli strike in Doha, I think we would be back at the table or under the table, coordinating policy with like-minded players in the region, sharing the same purposes in Lebanon.
Absolutely. Mr. Owen?
Well, I'm tempted to say, as they do in Congress, I yield back the remainder of my time to the chairman or to the gentleman from either place. But if there are no takers within Israel, there has been a change in the command of the Northern Command. And the new commander, Major General Rafi Milo, has earlier been the commanding general of the 91st Division, the Lebanese border division. He's proactive. He will probably try to reassess the situation and come up with suggestions. And because the focus of the Israeli government and the general staff is on Gaza and perhaps the Houthis, earlier today, the Israeli Air Force again bombed the port of Hodeidah. General Milo will have quite a voice in the councils of war.
Absolutely. Well, he is known to be very capable also in maneuvering, which is something that was not necessarily lacking, but his predecessor came from the special operations world, much more focused on those type of special operations.
Well, he was also a SEAL, a naval commander,
right.
and he was slated to be in charge of the Southern Command in Gaza. But later that was changed, and he was given the Northern Command.
Well, military politics during times of war are never, or rather are as fluid as war itself. But this is all the time that we have for today. I'd like to thank Colonel Abbas Dahouk, Colonel Dr. Eran Lerman, and Mr. Amir Oren for all of your insights today. I'd like to thank all of our viewers at home as well. The Lebanese scene is still very much developing, so we will revert and discuss this at length many more times with hopes for a brighter future for the Lebanese people and also the relations between Lebanon and the State of Israel. Until our next edition, from here in Jerusalem, Shalom. For more of TV7's productions and editorials, we invite you to visit our website at www.tv7israelnews.com.
Jerusalem Studio, now available on Spotify.